Q image. You remember Superbook? I don't know if you remember this. Q image.
Oh,
In case answering texts. Busy man. Superbook. It was a show that I was on when I was a kid, and it's about these kids in this like clockwork robot that have like the entire text of, it was like a, I don't know, early smartphone, I suppose, had all the text of the Bible in him. And so they would take the Superbook and they would travel to Bible stories just to look around. You know, they go and see like David and Goliath, and they're like, wow, everyone's like 5'4", 5'5". You know, there's so many more hormones in these food in our modern age, and people don't understand that. Goliath was only like 6'2", but if everyone was like 5'4", you know, everyone was like 5'4", then, you know, of course, you know, the guy's 6'2" is going to look like a giant, you know, and he beats everybody based on reach alone, you know, and David comes in and is like, I'm going to use a sling. I'm like, oh, what a brilliant tactician. Stay away from the guy with the long arms. You know, and you even look at Goliath, you'll go back in time and look at these Bible stories, you know. You look at Goliath and you're like, man, he's all elbows and knees, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't know, he's like a 10-speed bicycle stretched out. And so but I would think from time to time, even at that young age, watching this children's show, you know, it's like, what if you went back and like stopped the crucifixion? You know, stop the crucifixion from happening. Superbook is almost like a beginner's entrance into time travel and stuff like that. It's like, should you be going back in time and stopping the crucifixion from happening? I don't think so. I don't think that's probably a good idea. So these kids were playing with fire. They should have told an adult about this magical book they got. This is super weird Bible they found that transports you. It's like, look, I saw a donkey talking to a guy that was beating him the other day. All right. This book is weird. And I know a lot of people, they don't really like entertainment that's based upon like the religious stuff and Bible stories and stuff like that. I mean, my most recent thing I think of is one episode of Rick and Morty where they're making fun of like the greatest story ever told, and like, oh, it's not the greatest story ever told. And it's like, I think it is. You know, it's kind of awesome when you think about it. You know, guy parts the Red Sea, you know, and, you know, you perform miracles, seeing miracles happen. You know, it's funny because you could sit there and you go back to the Battle of Jericho. You know, you could sit there and you could watch, and it's like, oh, I see. Every time he rounds the city, he sends in another couple of sappers into the walls. And the trumpet blast was a signal. It's simple military strategy. And so you can go back and like look at these things. And I thought it was like a cool, like, I don't know, fantasy experience. If you wanted to go back and like, you know, check things out that are in the Bible. They never had a Revelation episode, I don't think. I don't know. It was geared towards kids. They probably no Revelation episode. Even though they would do things like Daniel in the lion's den or something like that. And they're like, yeah, Christians being persecuted and fed to the lions. That's what we are, Christians. Once upon a time, people fed us to lions. So, I mean, it's interesting because it's geared towards children, but, you know, in many ways, the Bible is a very, like, adult book. Anyway, so I was just accessing those memories. I wanted to document it for posterity, as I remember that show. And from what I understand, there's still, like, iterations of it that happened after the 80s. You know, I was thinking about this. I was trying to remember the Superbook theme song, because sometimes this thing's stuck in your head. And all the 80s, like, theme songs was just repeating the title over and over again, with like maybe one rhyme. It's like, Superbook, 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 take a look. It was like that or something. The little Elton John in there as well. But I mean, in the 80s, that's all it was. And we loved it. We loved it. And I love this because, I don't know, because I read the Bible when I was a kid. Read it several times over my life. And it never ceases to amaze me. Like, because there's, you know, there's giants, there's talking donkeys. It reads like a Shrek script. Anyway.